The first time I met Elvis was at a radio station the afternoon of the first show that I worked with him in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, in July of 1955. I was impressed when I first met Elvis. I had never heard his name. I'd never heard him sing, so I had no idea who I was working with. But when he walked in the station, I was impressed. Of course, he was a tall, dark-haired, good-looking guy, but he was dressed kind of different. He had on a yellow sports coat, and in 1955, men didn't wear yellow sports coats. And his hair was longish with the long sideburns and the ducktail, which was different than my friends in Oklahoma were wearing. So we did our interview, and then when we left the station, I saw another surprising thing. Elvis got into a pink Cadillac. Now, you have to remember, that was before the days of Mary Kay. I had never seen a pink car. The night of our first show, I had already been on stage, and I was in my dressing room, and my dad traveled with me in those days, so he and I were in the dressing room, and all of a sudden, we heard this screaming, and it kind of scared me, and Daddy said, "Gosh, I wonder if there's a fire." So he runs out. He said, "Get your stuff." So I was gathering up my purse and everything, and then he walks back into my room and says, "Wanda, you're not going to believe this. You got to see it for yourself." So he took me to the wings of the stage, and sure enough, there was Elvis singing and rocking and rolling and gyrating, and all these girls down at the foot of the stage screaming and screaming and screaming. That was quite a sight. Elvis had been talking to me about trying to sing this new rock and roll or rockabilly. I don't think we even had a name for it yet. And I didn't think I could. I told him, no, I'm just a country singer. But it seemed like he knew something I didn't know. He said, "You can do this. I know you can, and you need to." So we were working in Memphis, and one afternoon he picked me up, took me to their house, the one on Audubon, the small house. And we went there, and we played records all afternoon. We sang, and he was trying to give me the feel for this, the way he sang songs. And I was impressed that he just really seemed to care about my career. He just put a lot of time and effort in helping me to see that I could stretch myself and be a little bit more than I thought I could. He even made me promise to try. But you know what? Now I'm sure glad I did. There was one very special day in my life at that time. Elvis and I were working in Shreveport, Louisiana. We had a matinee and then an evening show. So after the matinee, we just had to kind of hang around there, but he asked me to step outside with him, which I did. We walked over to his car, and he asked me if I'd be his girl, and I said yes, I would be glad to be his girl. He took a ring off of his hand and gave it to me and asked me to wear it around my neck, and I did for over a year. So needless to say, Elvis's ring is one of my prized possessions. In 1964, my husband Wendell and I were in Las Vegas for just a weekend of fun. We checked into our hotel. We were staying at the Sahara. And we went out the first evening, and we came back in a little bit early, I think. And when we got off the elevator, there stood a security guard, wanted to see the key to our room. And we showed it to him, and we said, "Well, what's the big deal?" He said, "Well, Elvis and his entourage is on this whole floor, with the exception of the suite that you and your husband have." And I said, "Oh, gee, I would love to just be able to say hi to him. If he comes in while you're on duty, tell him that Wanda Jackson is here and would just love to say hi." And so we went on to our room, and it wasn't 20 minutes till the phone rang, and someone was asking, would it be all right if Elvis came down to our room, that he would also like to say hi to me. So in a few minutes, there Elvis stood, and I hadn't seen him in a long time, and I was very glad to see him, and he was glad to see me. And I'm so glad that my husband got to meet him because he was impressed with our friendship and the fact that we just really liked each other. And that was important that he know that because the rest of my life, probably, I'll be talking about Elvis on every interview, and fans ask me these questions. But now he understands the importance that Elvis Presley had in my career and in my life. That was the last time that I got to see Elvis. We still miss you, Elvis, and always will.